Well, first of all, good afternoon, everybody. Chris Fontaine from Trend Micro. Held numerous roles at Trend Micro, from sales engineer, sales engineering manager, currently director of field readiness. So it's my responsibility to make sure that all of our field resources are versed in all of our technology, our messaging, and a lot of that has to revolve around specific industry verticals. One of my specialties is healthcare. So happy to be here today. It's one of the reasons I was asked to be here today. And without further ado, let's launch into things. So first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you a little bit of something about Trend Micro. Trend Micro has been around since the 80s, 88 as a matter of fact. And we've held the same motto since we started, and that's to really make the world safe, or help make the world safe for exchanging digital information. We do close to $2 billion in sales. We've been profitable every quarter since going public in 1998. We have over 500,000 commercial customers in 200 plus countries and offices to match. Of those 500,000 customers, we have 9 of the 10 top global Fortune 500s. Now we have 7,000, it says, people passionate about security across 65 countries. It's actually a little more than that. We're getting closer to 8,000 now, and I know that because I'm responsible for the new hire training, so it's getting kind of interesting. Now, if we skip a little bit ahead, one of the things about Trend Micro is we take compliance extremely seriously. So you can see here that we're compliant with key regional requirements in data privacy, GDPR, FedRAMP, HIPAA, PCI, FIPS, Common Criteria 27001, so on and so forth, amongst others. And the list grows daily. Now, we do know that the FBI is warning about cyber attacks against healthcare organizations. The FDA has concerns about insecure medical devices. I actually don't like that term, insecure medical devices. The devices themselves are built to a specific purpose, and you don't want vendor software and so on and so forth encumbering them in any way, or really interfering with the care of a patient. And we'll get into that a little bit very quickly. But there are complex regulatory requirements around these healthcare devices, such as GDPR, such as HIPAA, so on and so forth. For you as a healthcare organization, you're facing significant challenges. And really, when you boil it down, your job as a healthcare organization is to protect human lives. Our job is to protect those those patients' digital lives. And we're very cognizant of the fact that that's no easy task. Just going back to the global 500, you can see on the bottom line there, 6 of the 10 top global healthcare organizations are Trend Micro customers. Some of them to great depth in protecting almost their entire infrastructure. You see, we work with a lot of industry partners.
I don't know if it's just me, but Reginald, I've noticed it froze as well. Let me try, sit tight. Is anyone else seeing? Yep, froze. So sit tight. Let me just do this. Let me quickly try and call Chris and ask him to restart his machine. I think he's probably doing that as we speak. And there he is coming back. What I'll do, we know how to deal with these things. Sometimes microphones don't work. There he is as well. Chris, can you hear me? We'll get this squared away. We appreciate it.
I can indeed, Ron. My apologies. And sometimes, unfortunately, what happens is you get a power glitch right in the middle of a presentation.
All right.
Telling you, man, it never ends, does it? So I'm not too sure where you lost me there. I think you it glitched out right around where I was talking
Yep,
about.
yeah, we'll
working
keep
with
moving
industry.
forward. Yep.
All right, cool. So from the industry partner side, as you can see, we partner across the board, but really what Trend Micro is about is making the world safe and better place for everybody. And we have significant, really dedication to the community through Trend Micro Cares. Last year, we donated just a little over $6 million to 200 plus nonprofits, helped with natural disasters. We trained 350 plus new cybersecurity experts. And of course, with Trend Micro Education, we do offer free education to small businesses, university students, and we have a internet safety for kids and families, which helps educate everyone. But that's not why you're here. You're here to find out how you can protect you. Well, one thing that we're aware of is that healthcare is unique. It is a very different industry. It's 24/7, 365. It's an always on environment. And it has very unique security requirements. And part of that is around these devices that have to exist on your network. They're part of your ecosystem. And that part of your ecosystem requires them not to have encumbering software put upon them, right? So you really have to look at protecting these devices at the network level. And as I said earlier, healthcare protects human lives. The healthcare orgs, so you require security that protects your patients' digital lives, and that's where we come into play. Healthcare requires a layered solution, and that has to fit into your existing infrastructure. The last thing anybody can expect someone to do is forklift out their existing infrastructure in order to really drop in security. And that boils down to you cannot strain IT resources. And the best way to strain an IT resource is ask them to forklift something else so that they can secure it. The solutions, they must change in step with evolving IT strategy. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been playing this game for a long time in IT. And it used to be things changed every once in a while. Now it seems like things change on an hour-to-hour or sometimes more frequent basis. And it's hard to keep up. Your security has to evolve with that. And it has to change in step with hybrid architecture. Many organizations are exploring or are in motion to hybrid cloud infrastructure, so on and so forth, cloud vendors, third-party vendors. And you have to ensure that you can provide kind of very homogeneous security across the board. All your medical devices must be visible, and that is critical. You can't protect what you can't see, and that visibility, it has to exist, and we can certainly help with that. And consequently, all medical devices, no matter what they are, must be protected, whether that really involves placing security directly on the device or wrapping that device in medical terms, providing a prophylactic approach to security. Now, the attack surface itself, we know, it's expanding. As we expand into the cloud, as we have mobile devices coming in, many of the healthcare organizations that we deal with are research centers tied to universities. We have itinerant, researchers and physicians coming in and out. They are all BYOD. They bring their own devices, and you have to be able to provide security for those devices, yet not in perpetuity. So they have to be extremely flexible. Especially within the healthcare environment, ICS, industrial control systems, Internet of Things, med devices, they all fall into the same category. So something simple like a remotely connected environmental control system that perhaps controls the surgical suites, well, if that's impacted by a particular threat, so on and so forth, Log4j being a prime example, that becomes really a loss center for the healthcare organization, and we take that into account. when we look at the security of the entire organization. So of particular, I guess, interest on this slide, and it is kind of busy, but I think, criticality comes to play. So if we take into the kind of the clock system, we look at the 12 o'clock place, and that's discovering the attack surface. There are numerous ways to do this, from standardized risk assessments, external pen tests, internal red teaming, so on and so forth. But all of these can be disruptive. More important, I think, is to keep kind of a rolling total or baseline analytics of the entire environment. And that allows you to assess risk. Now, risk is an interesting topic, and oddly enough, as part of my new role, I get to interact with marketing a lot more than I ever did before. And I realized how difficult their job really is, especially when you're trying to determine risk for a specific industry vertical, especially somebody like healthcare. This risk means something different. There's the business risk aspect, which then translates into some financial implications. There's the risk to patient data and HIPAA compliance standard. There's the risk to operations, which again falls into having financial impact, can significantly degrade the the public persona of the healthcare organization, so on and so forth. So that risk assessment can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So we do fall into that play of assessing risk across the board, from operations, finance, and even to cyber insurance carriers. We can help you have those conversations. Last but definitely not least, but where we shine is in the mitigation of risk. That's utilizing either agents, network security devices, so on and so forth, providing that prophylaxis, if you will, to prevent occurrences in the network. Really, I go back to, again, that continuous visibility and assessment, and it's certainly something that we've been cognizant of over the years. So this really does, as I said, it's discovering the attack surface. It's assessing the risk, status of vulnerabilities, configurations of security controls, and really reestablishing the baseline in the dynamic nature to which the environment is changing. And last but definitely not least, mitigating that risk. Now, prioritizing and applying the right preventative controls, that's always difficult. And that goes back to that old, scale of, do you impact performance? Do you impact, security? Well, you can't impact performance in healthcare. Again, this is something that we are highly cognizant of. And sometimes it requires perhaps a little more advanced knowledge in the field of security. This is something we can offer as staff augmentation, even through Trend Micro Service One. It also entails incident response planning, so on and so forth, and even mitigating controls with your cyber insurer, so that you've got that 24/7, 365 coverage. This all ties in through global threat intelligence provided by Trend Micro Research and the Trend Micro Zero Day Initiative. ZDI, as we refer to it, is formerly known, the artist formerly known as Thales Labs. As part of our acquisition of HP Tipping Point about 8 years ago, we also acquired the rights to DV, Digital Vaccine Labs, and subsequently Thales Labs, which became our Zero Day Initiative. It is a bug bounty program in which we truly do put ourselves out there. If you've heard of the Pondone competitions, so on and so forth, that's all sponsored by ZDI, which is backed by Trend Micro Threat Research. And threat research, really, it spans the globe, looking for threats, vulnerabilities, targeted attacks. AI and ML are used, machine learning, for determination of these threats, but also in the application of the protections against them. Part of that protection scheme and part of our threat research team, we actually get medical devices and we tear these things apart. We tear them down. We try and figure out where are they vulnerable, and we build our security in to protect them. Again, industrial IoT or really your technology that controls the environmental controls, the security controls, so on and so forth. We do interface with cyber criminal undergrounds. You got to know your enemy, right? According to Sun Tzu, know thine enemy better than they know themselves. And then again, we have a future threat team. It's a group of 3 people. We keep them in a shallow pool. No, just kidding. We don't have precogs. But very similar in nature. We have a group of people that are always looking ahead to the future and trying to piece it together. And this all powers our Trend Micro core technology and products and platforms. All of the solutions that you kind of saw in the background, kind of muted out there, are all available as SaaS offerings as well. So it really does mitigate the overhead to what you may have experienced in the past with Trend Micro. We're not that old, security vendor of old. Really, it's about smart, optimized, connected defenses, and our hybrid cloud security and network defenses, user protection in the form of Workforce One, is really looking at using big data analytics to examine data from hundreds of millions of sensors, many of them in healthcare organizations around the globe. Basically, we process more than 16 billion threat queries daily, and that number grows exponentially. So that is a very brief overview. I'm going to kill that there. And if there are any questions whatsoever, do not hesitate to ask. My contact info is placed within the background of the my profile on the Angelbeat splash page. And anything you want to know, anything you want to talk about in regards to cybersecurity and healthcare, we're right here. We love talking about it.